And especially Jimmy Haslam, the owner. Jimmy Haslam has already came out to say that he wasn't going to pick Shedeur. This call was on Andrew Berry. This was Andrew Berry's call to make. This was Andrew Berry's pick. So Andrew Berry pulled the trigger and drafted Shedeur Sanders with the 144th pick in the 5th round. So now that Shedeur Sanders'
name is on the roster, the storm brewing inside Cleveland's front office is unlike anything the Browns have seen in years. Jimmy Haslam did not want Shedeur Sanders. The owner made that crystal clear behind closed doors. This move wasn't his call, not even close. But when GM Andrew Berry pulled the trigger on that 5th round pick, he had no clue he was about to light a fire that could burn down his entire career. What happened next on that sideline? Caught on a hot mic? Has the entire NFL world losing its mind? And trust me, it might just cost Andrew Berry his job before the season even ends. And please hit that subscribe button. It helps more than you think. Because when you go against your owner's wishes and draft the son of primetime in the 5th round, you better be damn sure you're right. The pressure is insane, and it's about to get even heavier. Let's break this down, because what we just witnessed in Cleveland isn't just football politics. It's a full-blown power struggle.
General manager Andrew Berry was mic'd up with Shedeur Sanders, and it was caught on tape. Now this clip is going viral of what general manager Andrew Berry was saying to Shedeur Sanders. But before we get off into that, we partnered up with Underdog Fantasy, and this is a word from our sponsor.
This is about ego, legacy, and what happens when a general manager risks everything for a player that the world's been waiting to see succeed. Picture it, draft night, day 3. Everyone's glued to the screen, the tension thick enough to choke on. Name after name gets called, but Shedeur Sanders, the quarterback who turned Colorado into a national spectacle, is still sitting in that green room looking calm but focused. Teams keep passing, analysts are whispering, wondering what the league's missing. And back in Cleveland's war room, you could slice the tension with a knife. Jimmy Haslam's pacing, frustrated, saying, "We're not touching primetime's kid, too much drama, too much baggage, too many headlines waiting to explode." But Andrew Berry, he's locked in, eyes glued to the film, seeing what everyone else overlooked. And when that 5th round pick rolls around, number 144, he takes the shot. The cameras catch everything. Haslam's face tightens. The silence is deafening. And that's the moment Cleveland's newest controversy was born. The reactions in that draft room were wild. You could feel the tension bouncing off the walls. The moment Andrew Berry pulled that trigger, it wasn't just a pick, it was a gamble with his entire career on the line.
Now, with that being said, man, let's get off into what general manager Andrew Berry and Shedeur Sanders was talking about when they was mic'd up. So let's take a listen.
Really, really good. Proud of you.
Cool.
Really, really nice job.
You're not fully proud, kinda.
I'm
kinda proud.
Look, for your first side, it was a perfect no, but you made plays, you operated, like, so it just stacked.
I love when you tell the facts, do you? No, but it's okay, it's okay.
Listen, you did a nice job, okay? So just take what you learned from tonight, apply it to the joint practices and in the next preseason game. All right?
You were the real player now. I'm gonna bring that sauce to you.
I know you will. I know you will. Really good job. That's a great start.
It feels more real. Now,
Most NFL scouts had already written off Shedeur Sanders, calling him overhyped, a media product, not built for the league. But Berry didn't care. He saw something deeper, and that's when the whispers started flying. Sources close to the Browns' front office leaked that Jimmy Haslam wasn't just caught off guard. He was furious, not disappointed, not mildly annoyed, straight up heated. His GM had gone rogue on national TV, defying him on one of the most high-profile names in college football. Because let's keep it real, when you draft Deion Sanders' son, you're not just adding a player to the roster, you're inviting a whole circus. Cameras, headlines, family visits, and non-stop comparisons to primetime himself. Haslam wanted peace, not paparazzi. But now the spotlight was blinding, and all of it was shining on Cleveland. Fast forward to training camp, and suddenly every throw Shedeur makes is getting slow motion replayed by the media. Every rep is analyzed like it's the Super Bowl. Meanwhile, Dillon Gabriel, the guy they actually plan to build around, is throwing picks and looking rattled. And then there's Shedeur, calm, composed, cooking with the third stringers like he's been doing this his whole life. No picks, no panic, just precision. He's threading darts across the field, hitting tight windows, and moving like a natural. Even the coaches who doubted him can't help but pause mid-conversation when that ball zips out of his hand. That arm strength they questioned? Yeah, it's looking elite. But the real drama hits when Gabriel suddenly goes down with what they're calling hamstring tightness. Just like that, the quarterback the owner didn't want, the one Barry risked everything on, is about to start the first preseason game against Carolina. You could feel the tension building, executives whispering, players side-eyeing, everyone wondering if Barry just sealed his fate live on national TV. But here's the thing. Shedeur Sanders doesn't fold under pressure. He never has. This is the same kid who walked into Colorado and flipped a dying program into must-watch television overnight. The same quarterback who played behind a shaky, patched-together offensive line and still put up stats that had N.F.L. scouts pretending not to notice while secretly jotting notes in their playbooks. That's Shedeur Sanders for you. Game day hits, and the kid doesn't flinch. He steps onto that field like he's been there for years. He goes 12 of 18 for 138 yards and 2 touchdowns, adds 3 carries for 19 yards, and leads the Browns to 3 scoring drives, sealing a bold 30-19 victory. That's not just a preseason win, that's a statement. Every throw had touch, every read was sharp, and every snap showed confidence beyond his years. It wasn't luck, it was poise, skill, and swagger all rolled into one. But here's where things get spicy. This is the part where Andrew Barry might have written the next chapter of his legacy. For better or worse, cameras are rolling, mics are hot, and everyone's waiting for the post-game reaction. Barry walks over to Shedeur on the sideline, trying to play it cool. You can practically feel the tension between pride and pressure. What happens next? Pure gold, the kind of behind-the-scenes moment that reveals everything about the power struggle brewing in Cleveland. Barry pats him on the shoulder and says, "Really, really good. Proud of you." But Shedeur, cool as ice, rocking that Sanders confidence, fires back with a smirk. "You're not fully proud." Boom! That line hits harder than a touchdown spike. Barry freezes for a split second, then laughs and replies, "No, I'm not." "Look, but you made plays. You operated like so. It's just stack." It's the kind of exchange that's short, real, and heavy with meaning. That moment says everything. Barry's trying to balance his emotions, proud of his pick, but careful not to look too excited in front of the cameras. He knows Haslam's watching. He's managing expectations, trying not to fan the flames of a front office feud, but you can see it. The pride is real, and Shedeur, he's reading the room like a veteran, understanding every bit of politics behind that sideline tension. He looks at Barry and says, "You the real player. Now I'ma bring that sauce to you." And Barry's reply, "I know you are. I know. Really good job. That's a great start." To most people, it looked like a sweet mentor moment. But anyone who understands NFL power games saw something else entirely. That was a silent, "I told you so" moment. A GM defying his owner and winning in front of the whole world. In that very moment, you're watching Andrew Barry quietly stake his claim on one of the biggest power plays in recent Browns history. He's basically saying, "Yeah, that's my pick. That's my guy." And that right there is what's got Jimmy Haslam absolutely seeing red. Because think about the situation Barry's just dropped his boss into. Haslam went on record saying he didn't want Shedeur Sanders, made it clear he wanted no part of that media circus. Yet now, the same 5th-round pick he rejected is outplaying their supposed franchise quarterback, leading game-winning drives and getting praise from the GM who had the guts to ignore him. Every time Shedeur throws a dart, every headline hyping his breakout, every ESPN clip showing his swagger, it all screams one thing. Andrew Barry was right and Jimmy Haslam was wrong. That's not just awkward for an owner. That's humiliating. Because once that narrative starts to spread, people don't just see a disagreement, they see a power shift. Suddenly, Haslam doesn't look like the boss anymore. He looks like the obstacle. And in the NFL, perception is power. If insiders start whispering that your GM goes rogue, makes moves behind your back, and then ends up winning, that's career suicide for an owner's credibility. And guess what? Those whispers started immediately after that preseason game. League reporters were suddenly hearing things. Sources inside the building started leaking that Haslam was furious, questioning Barry's judgment, his discipline, even his loyalty to the organization. It didn't stop there. The chatter grew louder. Words like insubordination and lack of alignment started floating through NFL circles, making their way to insiders like wildfire. Cleveland wasn't just trending for their performance, they were trending for their power drama. But here's what's making this whole thing explode even more. Shedeur Sanders is backing it all up with straight excellence. He's not out here running his mouth or acting cocky. Nah, he's keeping it calm, classy, and calculated, letting his game do all the talking. He's leading by example, moving like a seasoned pro, and you can feel that presence every time he takes the field. Reporters keep praising his focus, his poise, his leadership, the same qualities his father always said he had. Every practice throw looks smoother, every rep makes Dillon Gabriel look more like a mistake, and every day that passes turns Barry's risky decision into a masterstroke. At this point, it's more than just a football story. It's a full-blown Cleveland power war disguised as a rookie breakout. And Shedeur Sanders, he's not just winning games, he's shaking the whole franchise to its core. Andrew Barry saw something everyone else completely missed, and now the whole league's starting to realize it. Meanwhile, Dillon Gabriel is fighting his own battle, trying to bounce back from nagging injuries and struggling to find rhythm again. But it's hard to focus when you've got a fifth-round rookie breathing down your neck and playing like a first-round steal. The pressure's so thick, you can practically feel it in that Browns locker room. Everyone knows what's at stake. One man's career and another's redemption are hanging in the balance. If Shedeur Sanders keeps climbing like this, if he keeps making those laser throws, keeps showing that calm, Brady-like pocket presence, and keeps proving he was way more than the 144th overall pick, then Andrew Barry becomes untouchable. You can't fire the guy who unearthed your future franchise quarterback in the 5th round, especially when that same quarterback was the one your billionaire owner didn't even want. That kind of success rewrites legacies and forces respect, whether Haslam likes it or not. But there's a flip side. If Shedeur stumbles, even just a little, the tide turns instantly. If the momentum fades, if he starts making rookie mistakes or showing those old scouting concerns everyone used to whisper about, then Barry goes from genius to reckless overnight. Suddenly, he's no longer the visionary. He's the GM who went rogue, gambled against ownership, and got burned for it. The stakes couldn't be higher, and everyone in that organization knows it. Right now, Shedeur Sanders is battling an oblique injury that's keeping him out of the next preseason game, and you can bet Jimmy Haslam's eyes will be locked on every single snap Dillon Gabriel takes. Haslam's hoping this is his I told you so moment, praying that Barry's big bet turns into a bust. He wants to prove he was right all along, that drafting primetime son was more hype than substance. But the irony? Shedeur's been proving people wrong his entire life. From high school days when they said he only got attention because of his last name, to college when doubters called him overrated. He's turned every bit of criticism into fuel. Now, standing on the edge of NFL stardom, he's got the perfect chance to silence every critic once and for all, and maybe save his GM's career in the process. From Colorado, where critics said Shedeur Sanders couldn't handle the weight of rebuilding a broken program, to draft night, where 143 names were called before his, this kid has been fueled by doubt his entire life. He doesn't just survive adversity, he feeds on it. And now, he's smack in the middle of one of the wildest front office battles in the NFL, playing for an owner who didn't even want him on the roster. Yet his confidence, it says everything. He knows exactly how this story ends. Every snap he takes, every crisp throw he completes, every drive he leads is stacking evidence in Andrew Barry's favor. Meanwhile, every mistake Dillon Gabriel makes, every missed read, every wobbly pass, just adds to the growing list of reminders that sometimes the boldest moves are the ones nobody else dares to make. Barry's risk is turning into a masterpiece, and the people who once doubted him are now whispering that maybe, just maybe, he saw what no one else did. The question isn't whether Shedeur Sanders can play in the NFL. That's already been answered loud and clear with his preseason performances. The real question is whether Barry's career depends on Shedeur turning into the star he's betting on. Because, let's be honest, this GM has gone all in. You could hear it in that sideline exchange. That mix of pride and defiance when Barry told him, "I know you are," after Shedeur promised to bring that sauce. That wasn't just talk. It was a declaration. A GM standing by his conviction even as his job hangs by a thread. Jimmy Haslam can posture all he wants. He can leak frustration to the media, question Barry's judgment in board meetings, even hint that changes are coming. But none of that matters if Shedeur keeps winning. In the NFL, results erase everything. They silence critics, they shut down power struggles, and they turn risky moves into franchise-changing decisions. So here we are, a fifth-round pick turning into a spark that might just flip the whole Browns organization upside down. If Shedeur Sanders keeps playing like the poised, electric talent we've seen, Andrew Barry won't just save his job, he'll rewrite the definition of what it means to trust your gut in the NFL. The beautiful irony in all this? Primetime Sun might end up proving the entire NFL wrong. Sometimes the smartest draft picks are the ones that make ownership squirm, and sometimes the boldest GMs are the ones crazy enough to bet their careers on pure talent that everyone else overlooked. It's poetic, really. The son of a legend becoming the spark that tests how much power a GM really has in his own building. Now, here's what I want to know, and I want you to drop your thoughts in the comments right now. Do you think Andrew Barry is a straight-up genius for seeing what 31 other teams missed? Or did he just get lucky, catching lightning in a bottle when his fifth-round gamble hit big? Because depending on who you ask, Barry's either a visionary or a man who accidentally stumbled into glory. And that brings us to the real question. Should NFL owners have the final say on every pick? Or should general managers have the freedom to take those controversial shots when they know a player's special? Because when you've got an owner like Jimmy Haslam on one side and a fearless GM like Barry on the other, you get fireworks. And Cleveland's sky is lighting up right now. One thing's for sure, this story is far from over. Every snap Shedeur Sanders takes, every throw he nails, and every game he possibly starts adds another page to what might be the wildest power struggle in the league today. You can feel the tension, the excitement, and that unspoken question. Who's really running the Browns right now? If you're loving this kind of behind-the-scenes NFL drama and want to stay locked in for every twist and turn, make sure you smash that subscribe button, drop a like, and ring that notification bell. Because with Shedeur Sanders in the mix, this saga is only getting crazier. Trust me, you'll want a front row seat for what's coming next.